Welcome back to the Michigan Football Report. We are live following the win 42-25 against Illinois. If you're watching this later in the week or on Sunday, this is our Michigan Football Grades post-game live show. We're also going to make it available on demand on YouTube, so a lot of you will watch this on YouTube on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, going through all the coaches and then the coaches, the coordinators, Shea Patterson, and then each position group for the Michigan football offense and defense in the 42-25 win against Illinois. Let's start off with the man himself, head coach Jim Harbaugh is getting a D. And I'm going to walk you through the mindset of putting a show together like this because the massive production team was just sitting around here smoking cigars at halftime because they said, oh, this show is ready to go, right? 28-7. Yoder's got his grades in. We got our takeaways. We are just going to sit back here and fill in some stats and smoke a cigar. And then, sure enough, the third quarter happens, the fourth quarter happens, and we basically got to scramble to put together a new show because I had Jim Harbaugh as like an A grade or an A minus, and Don Brown as an A. I had a lot of A's and B's that turned into C's and D's later in the game. You start off good, and then you go into halftime, and what the hell happens? I mean, Michigan's at 355 yards of offense in the first half, and so you go to the second half. What do you have? 100 quick math here? 355, 134 yards in the second half of offense. Come on, that's embarrassing, right? That is embarrassing. You give up 192 against the fifth-string quarterback for Illinois, so Jim Harbaugh just flat again. Seems to be no strategy on this team at all outside of, hey, the defense under Don Brown is going to be pretty good as always, and then they'll face good teams like Notre Dame, Penn State, and Ohio State, and they're probably going to get lit up for 40 points. So I'm giving Jim Brown on Jim Brown. Did I say Jim Brown? I meant to say Don Brown, and then I meant to say Jim Harbaugh, and I ended up saying Jim Brown. Yes, Jim Brown, but Don Brown, Jim Harbaugh. I'm losing my mind here, Alicia, I think. I'm giving Jim Harbaugh a D on the day. How about Josh Gattis? Josh Gattis, yeah, probably weren't making the play calls in the first half because Michigan started off with a running attack. All of a sudden, a fullback's playing for this team, and you're throwing to him. I mean, why is Ben Mason all of a sudden the only guy that gets looks in the red zone? It happened against Wisconsin, happens today. I give him a D+. I mean, what a pathetic performance you roll out there today, Josh Gattis, in the second half. What are you doing to Shea Patterson? You were costing Shea Patterson. If I was Shea Patterson and if I was his family, maybe watching right now, I would send Josh Gattis a $10 million bill. I would say, you owe this to me April 25th, 2020, when I'm supposed to be a second or third round draft pick, maybe a first round draft pick, had you had a good season, and you end up getting drafted in the 6th round or 7th round because Josh Gattis is costing Shea Patterson a lot of money. Do we have the stats? We'll take a look at them for the game. We'll start with the first half stats, right? 355 yards. No matter who the opponent is, Illinois, Rutgers, Middle Tennessee State, this is a pretty good half, right? You're 28 points, 355 yards of total offense, 150 passing, and you're running the ball all over the place, and even time of possession. This is a really good first half, and I had Josh Gattis at halftime. I had him as like an A-, right? But then this happens. Here's the ending game stats for Jim Harbaugh versus Lovie Smith, the bearded football coach, Santa Claus football coach. Michigan did nothing on offense in the second half until it looked like they were going to lose the game with 7, 8, 9 minutes left in the game, and it was cut down to a three-point game. Illinois scores a touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion. I mean, I just don't know what to make of what I saw, what happened there in the second half from the offense. But 4 of 10 on third down, 50% passing. 48 rushing attempts, 6 a carry. That's the only saving grace from this offense under Josh Gattis. And then again, you lose 2 fumbles, Josh. You lose 2 fumbles. I can't remember. Was it Haskins or was it Turner that had the second one? I just cannot remember. I know Turner had one. What they call it? Was it Turner? Yeah, we'll see. If you guys are watching, ask us. Let us know. Was it Turner or was it? Yeah, was it? Okay, cool. Charbonnet and Turner lose fumbles. All right, cool. How about Don Brown? Don Brown. It was going good, Don. You had an A for the second week in a row from me on these grades, but I'm going to just go with a C here, right? I don't really know what else to say for Don Brown when you give up 25 straight points against Illinois. in a row, 25 straight points in a row. And it's not like it was against Brandon Peters or any four-star level quarterback. It was against Matt Robinson, who went 16 of 25 for 192. And then Isaiah Williams got in there, four passing attempts, no yards. So Don Brown gets a C. I mean, we can take a look at Illinois' offensive stats if we want. But Illinois is not a single player that could be on scholarship against Michigan, and they scored 25 straight points against your defense, Don Brown. First half, 117 yards. I'm giving Don Brown an A in the first half, right? Holds him to 30 yards rushing, 88 yards passing. I've got him an A at halftime, and then the final game stats. It doesn't look that good for Don Brown. 25 straight points. Here we go with the offense for the game. The Illinois offense. First half stats we've got up there, 117 yards that we said, and then. We just got to make sure we don't push those logos over there. Michigan, Illinois, Michigan. But cool. 25 points. We'll toss the second half stats up there here in a second. They score 25 points, Illinois does. 256 yards. And then 192 yards passing, 64 yards rushing for the game. So I don't know what to make, why this team keeps sleepwalking at certain times this year. Why can't Jim Harbaugh, 1 day a week, Don Brown, 1 day a week, Josh Gattis, 1 day a week, get these guys to play with their hair on fire, with enthusiasm unknown to mankind, like Jim Harbaugh says. Who's got it better than us? I mean, a lot of teams right now have it better than us. But 25 points against Illinois. It's Matt Robinson. Scored 25 points on Don Brown's defense. So, he got a C. But let's keep it rolling, Alicia. We've got our venting out on the coaching. We'll roll through the players. We've got Shea Patterson. We've got the offensive line, wide receivers, running backs. We've got all that. Shea Patterson. For me, I wanted to give him a better grade because I thought he started doing good, but I can only go with a D+ for Shea. I mean, some of you might say this is harsh, but this is Illinois. This is not Ohio State. This is not Notre Dame. And Shea goes 11 or 22 for 194 on the day. I know he had 3 touchdowns. I know he didn't throw any picks, but there were really not any passes that I thought I felt really comfortable with Shea being a championship-level quarterback for this team this year. There were no plays. I know Ronnie Bell had a big play. I know there was a couple catches down the stretch. Donovan Peoples-Jones and Schoonmaker in the end zone. You finally got some red zone touchdowns. I think you're up to, 4 or 5 now for the year after having 2 coming into this game. So D+ for Shea. I thought he could have done a lot better. 50%, 22 attempts against Illinois. Frankly, is not cutting it. The running backs are next. I thought they played pretty good, but they keep fumbling. I think it's unfair, Alicia. Let's change that. Let's change that to a C+. Let's change it to a C+, because I think we were given that grade before we had the updated stats. You remember that? So I think that's where I should go. Okay. I'm going to go with a C+ for the running backs, right? Some of you guys are going to say, why would you give a C+ to the running backs when you had 200-yard rushers? Well, the reason I'm giving a C+ to running backs when they had 200-yard rushers and not an A-, and not an A+, and not a B+, is because 2 lost fumbles. Zach Charbonnet, Christian Turner. I mean, why do we keep playing this guy? I have no idea. He shouldn't be in the game when you've got True Wilson, Hassan, Haskins, Zach Charbonnet. Certainly have shown to be much more talented and don't fumble nearly as much as him. But let's take a look at the rushing leaders. First half rushing leaders. Zach Charbonnet came out like gangbusters in this game, folks. You take a look at his first half stats for these 3 guys against Illinois. But it was Hassan Haskins in the second half. He becomes your rushing leader. He's the guy, 12 carries, 125 yards. He was breaking off some really nice runs. And in the first drive, he broke a half dozen tackles in that touchdown run, it seemed like. Didn't give up. Seems like he wants to be in there. Seems like he wants that starting running back job. So I'm giving Hassan Haskins, Zach Charbonnet, True Wilson, and Christian Turner, that running back group, a C+. Not because they didn't get 200-yard rushers, but because they disappeared in the third quarter and they lost 2 fumbles twice. You can't get anything better than a C+ if you lose 2 fumbles, when that is literally the identity of the team is fumbling and you do nothing to change it. By the way, Christian Turner, 1 carry, -4 yards in that fumble. What is going on here with these guys? All right, wide receivers. Let's take a look at the wide receivers for Michigan against the Fighting Illini of Illinois. I'm giving them a C-. Is it their fault? Maybe. I know a lot of people say it's Shea's fault, it's Josh Gattis' fault, but I don't see great routes coming from these guys. I don't see impactful plays from these wide receivers. We'll burn through these numbers because there's really nothing to say about these wide receivers, right? We had those touchdowns from those guys. We had a touchdown from Schoonmaker. We had a touchdown from Donovan Peoples-Jones. We had a touchdown from, I think it was Nick Eubanks as well. Ronnie Bell continues the streak. 33 straight games Michigan has not had a 100-yard wide receiver. He leads the way with a 71-yard catch, gets to 98 yards in the game. A couple nice plays on him. It seems, Bell across the middle is pretty much the only play Michigan has that works consistently for this team. Three catches for 36 yards and a touchdown for DPJ, 2 for 21. Okay, great for Tarik Black. Nico Collins didn't play. Then you got a couple tight ends there. So 3 wide receivers who did anything for the day for the Michigan football Wolverines. So I'm giving them a C- on the grade there for wide receivers. Offensive line, I went with a B for the offensive line, mostly because no interceptions going for Shea. He didn't seem to be hurried too much. And you get 300-plus yards in rushing, so I've got to give the offensive line a B. Thought they played pretty well. I think Cesar Ruiz, Michael and Wayne were under fire after the last few weeks, and they played well today. Saw some nice things out of Jalen Mayfield, so B for the offensive line on the day. No one's getting higher than a B on this offense after you go so long stretch and looking so pathetic in the second half. Tight ends, what we had for them? We had like an incomplete for them early on, but I think we ended up giving them a grade of a B, right? So you had a couple touchdowns for the tight ends, and Sean McHugh returns, doesn't play, but Nick Eubanks goes out with an injury in the third quarter. So Luke Schoonmaker, with both those things kind of happening, gets some playing time. Eric All did not play today, and Mustafa Muhammad, we're going to see what happens with him, but I'm not sure what's happening with Mustafa Muhammad as part of this Michigan football team going forward. But let's say instead of Michigan's defense, when we do the offense first, Alicia, as our next question, let's grade Michigan's offense against Illinois. The whole thing, what'd you give the offense? A, B, C, or D? I'm going to go ahead. I've got, oh my gosh, that Ashley Yoder, my wife, gave him an A. What is she thinking? You see that comment come up on YouTube? Oh my gosh, Ashley gave him an A. She is crazy. Just joking. So I get him started. I've got our iPad going on here as my side thing on YouTube, and typed an A to see if I get a reaction of any of you guys watching. And I'm giving the offense like a D+ at this point. I mean, the stats look nice at the end of the game, 42 points, but just so uninspiring for long stretches of the game. All right, use hashtag Michigan to get your questions on the show. Use the hashtag Michigan to get your questions on the show. We've got our live Q&A coming up next, folks. We're going to finish out our Michigan football grades on offense, special teams, defense coming up here. But keep using those questions using hashtag Michigan, and we'll get to them here in a moment. Special teams is up next. And there was some good and some bad in special teams today, right? So I ended up giving them a C. You got a block punt, but you've got a missed field goal, right? And you didn't do anything in the return game. So you've got a really nice play with the block punt that led to some points. You've got a really bad play with a missed field goal that took some points off the board. And then you've got some mediocre play on the return game. So I'm going to give the special teams a C for today. You guys all saw the game. Not much to discuss there going forward. How about the defense? Michigan football defensive grades. Let's take a look at the defensive line. And I'm guessing you guys are all going to have different opinions on these grades. I'm going to give the defensive line an A, right? They seem to be playing hard. You were losing. You didn't see Kwity Paye. And I think, did we spell Kwity's name wrong there? I just want to make sure. But for some reason, I think he's got one T in his name. But nevertheless, I'm giving the defensive line an A. I thought there was a lot of good things that came out of the defensive line today. I thought Aidan Hutchinson played well. It is one T, Alicia, so let's make sure we change that on the next one. I'm blaming the stats and research department assistants way back in the back for that one. 4 tackles for Carlo Kemp, 2 tackles for loss. Michael Dana performed nicely, got a lot more playing time than he normally does. 4 tackles and 1 sack for him. And then Aidan Hutchinson, 2 tackles and then 1 tackle for loss. I mean, Michael Dwumfour, though, not much going on with him today. He didn't really show up much at all, for this defensive line. But those are the stats on the defensive line against Illinois. Michigan wins 42-25. Keep it rolling now to the linebackers. Michigan football linebackers played okay, right? A lot of tackles for the linebackers. And I think that's a good thing in a lot of ways. There were some plays that I thought they got, lost control. But a lot of stats for them. But there's so many times in the game I just kind of thought, like, where's the linebacker at? So I'm going to give him a B-, right? The stats are going to look good, though. We're going to throw the stats up here in a second for the linebackers. Glasgow, Khleke, Hudson. McGrone played nice again. Josh Ross still out. And then, then Josh Uche with 3 sacks. So Uche was an animal off the edge. He had 6 tackles, 3 sacks. And then Jordan Glasgow, McGrone, 11 tackles each for these guys. And 6 tackles for Khleke Hudson. So a decent performance from the linebackers, but 25 straight points. Saw too many Illinois players kind of running wild there throughout the field, specifically in the third quarter. So can't give them any higher of a grade than that for this game. So I'm giving the linebackers, Glasgow, McGrone, Khleke Hudson, and Josh Uche, I'm giving them a B- for this one. All right, let's keep it rolling. Secondary. Michigan football secondary gave up almost 200 yards passing. A better passing game, frankly, in my opinion, than Shea Patterson had against the Illinois defense. To Illinois' second or third string quarterback, and so I'm giving them a C+. All right, not any big time plays. Certainly no interceptions, none for the day. 16 of 24 for the Illinois quarterback, the starter, and then Isaiah Williams, the backup, 0 of 4. But the opposing quarterback throws for 67% when your own quarterback throws for 50%. 192 yards, touchdown, 35 yards, and the defensive line sacked him a few times, but 7 tackles for Brad Hawkins is okay. Ambry Thomas had a nice game with 3 pass breakups. Vincent Gray, 4 tackles, and Josh Metellus, 3 tackles, but no real standouts, no really game-changing players, and as such, I can't give him any grade higher than the one that we just did. But I want to know from you guys. Type your grades in there below. I'm going to go on the Yoder family iPad. I'm going to give a real grade this time. I'm going to give the defense a C. I give them a C+ because they look good for a while. I actually don't know how to put a plus. They get a C. They lose the plus because I couldn't figure out how to hit plus on an iPad ski board. But those are the grades. Coaches, Harbaugh, Gattis, Brown, Shea Patterson, and all of the position groups for both the offense and the defense here for the Michigan football program following a 42-25 win over Illinois on Saturday. Hey there, Michigan football fans. Thanks so much for watching the Michigan Football Report. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to Chat Sports, college football, NFL, NBA. New videos every single day. The #1 sports network on YouTube. Ready for another Michigan football video? I got you hooked up right here.